talking to camera on Instagram stories, the thing that we love to watch, but we hate to do. Now, if you seriously thought you were going to make your way through the Insta story thing without me bringing up this topic at some point, then friend, I'm afraid you're wrong, because it's week number 3 and this week's prompt is all about getting your face in front of your phone and talking to camera on your Instagram stories. Now, I know that when this topic is brought up, there are some feelings that can begin to show up for a lot of us. Feelings of fear, of worry, maybe even just of awkwardness or embarrassment. And trust me, I totally get it because I've been there. Alongside this week's email, which is all about making a visual impact on your stories, is to give you a couple of tips that I think are going to help you to grow in confidence around the way that you're showing up with your face, talking to camera, on your Instagram stories. Because if there's 2 things I've learned about showing your face and chatting into your phone, it's that number 1, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And number 2, absolutely everyone has to push through that awkward phase where you feel a bit silly, you're a bit conscious that your friends and family are watching and might think it's a bit weird, but hey, you push through it, you get the thing done, and just like I said with point number 1, it gets easier. So let's get into it. 4 quick tips for showing up on your Insta stories with your face to make it that little bit easier. The first tip that I want to share with you is just to treat it like you're speaking to a friend. The way that I like to think about it is that every time I jump on my Instagram stories, I am just opening up the FaceTime app and chatting to someone that I know. Now, of course, I'm actually chatting to maybe 2,800 people that I know, but the theory is still the same, because all I'm doing is letting you in on what I'm thinking or what I'm up to. Let me give you an example.
Hi, you right?
Yeah, I'm actually having such a great day today. I went to IKEA this morning and just picked up some great stuff, and now I'm back doing a bit of work on a Saturday. I know, very rare, but just recording a video for the Insta story thing to be shared next week, which is, you know, it's all very exciting. A great Saturday so far. So just like that, every time you pick up your phone to talk to your Instagram stories, if it helps you, just imagine that it's a friend on the other side of that phone wanting to hear about what you've been up to, or maybe wanting to hear a story that you've got to tell. I know that it feels weird, but as much as you can, just treat it that way. You're not speaking into a phone, you're speaking at people. Treat people like people, speak like you would, and tell a story just like you would if you were in person. Now, the second tip that I want to give you is my personal favourite, and that is don't faff around. Now, this is probably my personal favourite because it hits on a pet peeve for me, which is when I watch people's Instagram stories and for the first 15 to 30 seconds of what they've shared, I don't really feel like I've got any important information. Let me give you an example of what not to do. So I've just hit record and this is my Instagram story. Hi guys, I hope you're having a good day so far. Oh gosh, so sorry about my hair like that. Like, oh, okay, yeah. Sorry I haven't been on here for a while. I just thought I would pop on to just have a chat with you all about... Do you get my point here? It's important with Insta stories when we're talking to the camera that we get straight to the point. And that doesn't mean just being super direct and only telling the necessary information, because as we know, context is important, but it's more just to think about what information is really relevant for people to see. We want people to see our Instagram stories and associate it with super engaging and super relevant content. If you spend 15 seconds at the start of every video apologising for the way that you look, or apologising for the fact that you haven't been on for a while, when let's be honest, our followers don't always care or notice, you're just going to lose people's attention. So get straight to the point, do not faff about. The third tip I want to give you is to please make sure that you caption your Insta stories when you're talking to the camera. I recently did a bit of a poll on my stories, and whilst I know I probably don't have the whole of the nation at my fingertips, about 500 people answered and over 70% said that they didn't watch their Instagram stories with the sound on. Now let me just give you an example of what that would look like for your audience if you didn't caption it. So immediately you have possibly lost 70% of your audience's attention just because you haven't spent the time captioning it. There are so many apps out there which can do this for you, and I know as well you can just speak into your phone and it captions it for you. So just make sure when you're talking to camera, you put the words below so people can follow along. Captioning your stories is of course incredibly important as well for people who have problems around their hearing. So it's not just about making sure that your content is engaging to people with their sound off, but also really important in making sure that what you create is accessible to everyone. And finally, the fourth tip I want to give you in showing up with confidence on your Insta stories is don't be afraid to plan out what you are going to say beforehand and re-record stories if you need to. Hopefully you would say that my Instagram stories when I'm talking to camera feel quite natural and feel quite spontaneous, but let me tell you, the behind the scenes does not look that way. Before I turn on my camera and speak to my stories, I always have an idea in my head of what I want to speak about, and generally it takes 2 or 3 tries for me to get the end take. And that's just because, as humans, we mess up on our words, we get things wrong, or maybe we just haven't fully thought through what we want to say. As you'll have just seen, where I messed up there and I've now decided to keep it in to give you an example. I could give you so many examples of podcast episodes or Instagram stories where what you've ended up listening to or watching has been the 4th or 5th take, but I hope would never feel that way to you because the engagement and the excitement and the personality of it is always kept the same. I think that's what we think sometimes with Insta stories. Oh, in order to keep it engaging and authentic, I need to make sure it's the first take and it's the real thing. But I would say actually when we're valuing the value that we're giving to people, we need to make sure that we're really intentional about what we say and how we say it, and we're doing that in the best way possible. So of course, don't sound like a robot, don't give yourself a set script, but if you need to make a couple of notes or just have an idea in your head of what you're going to say, I promise you that will make your life so much easier because you're no longer worrying about messing up and putting something out there which is 20 stories long, but probably could be redone in a take that would then be 3 or 4 stories long. You get my drift. So there we have it, 4 tips for showing up on your Insta stories with your face and doing it with a bit more confidence and hopefully effectiveness on your audience's end. I hope this video has been helpful. I'm so excited to see you all acting out this week's prompt. It is my favourite so far. And you can probably guess why, because it's something I love to do within my content. So get involved, be sure to keep tagging me so I can cheer you on and share it with everyone else taking part. And if you're watching this in the future and you haven't taken part in the Insta story thing, first of all, stick around because I'll likely host it again and it's great fun. But second of all, I hope this video has been helpful either way in helping you to get that bit more confidence in showing your face and talking into your phone. So this is me, over and out, video number 3, definitely getting there. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Thank you for all taking part in the Insta story thing. I always feel like I'm doing an Oscar speech at the end of these videos and I don't know why. I'm off. You're going to talk to your Instagram stories. You feel confident about it. Everyone's happy.